even most Fab Five people who are like really know a lot about the Fab Five don't know that Jimmy King is a Midwest guy. You think Jimmy King is a Texas guy?
I didn't know that.
No, at all. Like South Bend. So it made more sense to come back to Michigan. This was, I mean, South Bend a couple hours away. This is home. So and basically you've been here since.
I mean, I out of any place in this world, I've been here the longest. I've been in Detroit the longest in my life.
Yeah, but now you're eyeballing Venezuela.
I'm thinking about it.
So if you've
My
been
daughter's graduating next year.
so you've been in D long enough, so you say what up though.
Yeah, that's how I do all the time. That's right. What up?
We do this, man. We go
Years old.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
we used to sit up in the dorms all night in South Quad.
Oh, South Quad.
South Quad.
I know about South Quad. Shout out to the Quad. Okay.
And
made my trips to AA.
Yeah, and you know, we sat up in the lounge and for 4 or 5 hours at night and talked about how we wanted to leave a legacy and an impact on the game. Kind of like you see LeBron doing, right? We were very cerebral about it. We understood that we were entertainers, and that's why we wanted to entertain. It wasn't that we were bringing the playground to the mainstream. It was just like, this is a style of ball we like. Take it or leave it. You could turn the TV on and get entertained, or go watch somebody else. But we weren't, apologetic.
That's crazy because, as you know, us all here having played college ball, is just the level of stuff that you have to deal with. And on top of that, you got. And I was young. I was 17 when I went there, so my head was spinning. And y'all had the presence of mind to sit down and say, "Bro,
we had each other to lean on."
But if I remember though, you are aren't you the youngest?
I'm the second youngest, raised the youngest.
Raised the youngest. Okay, I knew it wasn't.
So I was 17 too. I was 17.
So you was a young cat, and so was it one specific person who said, "Let's do the black socks, let's do the baggy shorts," or was it like we just it started off as like ankle socks, and then grew to just.
So coming in, and during that time, it was about, the baggy shorts. So myself, Ray, and Jalen, we used to cut off our sweats to wear them, long. And, back then, you see nuggers, and if you wore those, it was very uncomfortable. Like, if we wore those today and walked out on the court, people would look at us like, man, you might as well just wear some briefs out here.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So the long shorts was kind of collective, and the black socks. The story is really, we have to attribute it to Ray Jackson. Ray, it was one of his protests because. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, y'all can send me home, I'm tired of this. That's how it started. So he had his boy, because we were playing Rice in Houston.
Wait, what was he protesting?
Playing time. He wanted, because he felt like, he felt like, he was the fifth wheel. And I just learned this story Monday. He just told me the story Monday. So, like,
this is breaking news. Breaking news. This is a hot show. Break news on the Rock Turk show.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take. So it was a protest. So he had. Whole mall. We were going to get the whole team some, but we only found 5 pairs.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, now we really get. Go ahead.
And they weren't, as you know, they were literally like church socks. They were literally the thin socks. So his boy brought him up. Ray came to the room with Juwan and I. We were roommates, and his boy was like, "Yo, what do you think?" And Ray was like, "Yo, I like the gray ones. I like the gray. I'm gonna wear the gray." And with the ankle bone barely hanging out, the little low cut socks. And then his boy put out the black socks. He was like, "You know what? Let's rock the black socks. If we're gonna protest, because you're not gonna protest by yourself. This is a brotherhood. We're all in this together. We're gonna rock these with you, and we're gonna lift you up." And that's how it happened. So
And then
so
Nike
so
sold
so the
$40
black
billion
socks,
black
right,
socks.
right, and then because we wore the black socks with white shoes, they really stuck out. So we had gold uniforms with white shoes and black socks in '91. Yeah, and then so on the TV screen, that yellow was popping off, and then you looking at these bright white shoes with black socks, and like, what, you know?
So let me, as a coach, I'm not gonna be mad, but give you my headache is, and y'all had no idea this was happening. You don't understand, sometimes we have to wear white socks with the type of top we're wearing. It is a battle, because everybody wears black socks now.
Socks,
Every,
yeah.
when we play football,
yeah.
and so when I say, so they're like, where are we going? We got to wear so thank you for the headache. Tell Ray's boy, thank you for the headache.
Will do. But I mean, I understand. You know, the kids, like, you know, because I'm coaching too. I'm a head coach down at E-Course. I'm a head basketball coach, and yeah, they want to have their own style. They want to look fresh. You know, you look good, play good. You know, that same type of mantra. So, you know, if fish used to be like, take those down, you know, take that down. We used to pin it on the board, like that's what they think of us. So anytime we go out there, we're gonna show them who we are. So that was motivation.
And the thing that when I watched that got me was, you know, I could see it coming from Ohio State, Michigan State, but when it was your own people, your own fans, alumni, and the vitriol that was with it. I mean, which is the same we see today, but that was eye opening. And here's one thing from that story, and I've never heard that version that it was a protest for him. A lot of times when, like, maybe even the show, when you watch it, that it was just thought you guys were just trying to be individuals, stand out. Has that so obviously you said that was new, that was never. That would be, I think you might, maybe if that was the story people would have known, you would have been different versus people think you just being showboaters. That I was actually a stance for something, and
yeah, and I think that, but we wanted to kind of internalize that too. But also, they didn't at that time. If we would have let those letters out, it would have been chaos. It would have been
a black eye for Michigan.
It would have been a black eye for Michigan. So really, what they end up, or I say they, but what ended up happening was they just vilified us. Because you know the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Somebody got something to say, then we're going to assassinate your character.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no one will
Colin
listen
Kaepernick
to,
was
right,
one,
Colin
right?
Kaepernick. So no one will listen to, you know, your speech. So that's what happened with us, because we went from media darlings to villains overnight.
It's out of nowhere.
Nowhere.
No trouble off. And one thing you see, like Kentucky will bring in a 5 freshmen, and the Anthony Davis.
They won the 5 freshmen. They won the championship.
And I tell people, I said, man, I know there's 5 talented freshmen. There would never be a Fab Five, because like the backstory behind the Fab Five is what makes it the Fab Five. Not just going to championship. Y'all, not only were you innovators, you were revolutionary in the game as far as 5 black freshmen starting at Michigan. But when people see the 30 for 30 and do see the backdrop, that's not happening now in Kentucky or North Carolina. You had to be a mature 17, 18-year-old.
But what's
to
getting
do
lost in
something.
That was the uniqueness.
What's getting lost in it that you said and we've talked about is that now, okay, Kentucky won 5 freshmen, but they playing other freshmen. Y'all were playing back in the day. You're playing Christian Laettners. You're playing
Seniors.
guys that are seniors, bodies physically built, and back then they lifted.
Not
and
one and done.
Everybody didn't look like KD. Everybody looked like men. Larry Johnson's, Alonzo Mourning, and you putting them out.
I mean, Calvin Chaney, Glenn Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the Big Ten was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know a couple years ago the Big Ten had a nice little run, but back then, I mean, it was heavy hitters every night.
Yeah, and you had Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah.
Like, it was great coaching. It was the best league in the country. And Big Ten has been like that in basketball, in my opinion, 5 out of the last 7 years.
Yeah. It's been good. I mean, it's been good. I mean, we've been right up there. I just, shout out to the Fab Five. I know we got one in here. We got a legend in here today. I tell people,
Absolutely.
This is big stuff.
But and you mentioned Muhammad Ali. It's consciously that was our kind of thought process. We're like, we're not playing this game just to be playing it. I mean, we're having fun. We could do that. That's cool. We've seen teams come and go. But what are we really doing? What are we really going to leave? And those are the conversations that we had sitting up in the dorm in South Quad 2, 3 in the morning. You know, like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we
definitely-
got to do something. So that's really how we were like, all right, you know what, we got to push for the shorts. Now we got to push for the socks.
Gotta do it
We got to
all.
push for the shoes. So we got to look there. We got to cut our hairs. Like we got to. Now once we do that though, we got to play.
Ball,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got to ball.
Yeah.
So you know we can't get out there and just have all this sweet
You know, a
looking
lot of
gear and
people
all
didn't
that.
want
Oh,
you.
God,
They didn't want
for
to see
sure.
y'all.
And
A lot of criticism came your way.
And the other thing too was that because and it's so as you're listening and getting these stories, the dynamics are more. You ball, right? You have to ball, but you have no idea at that time how many. You go play high school ball. We play high school ball, and well, we played high school. And how our coach, it was lame offense, right? It was pass the ball 7 times, somebody can shoot. There was no end. At that time, you know, between let's say maybe late '80s to '95, '96. You know, I was taught by my dad, who was a street ball type dude, and he beat me down. So I learned how to play street ball. So when I went to Brother Rice, like I have all this success, and I got to Rice, and I wasn't doing well because I wasn't built. I did learn structure, but they wouldn't let me cut loose and be who I was. So when that started happening, and they saw that, I think around the country, coaches were like, let's let these guys play a little bit. And because it's still, you know, it's better in basketball and football, but you know, there weren't a lot of black coaches, right? So, and we had a guy at school that said, if you have black players, you need black coaches. Well, at least it got to the point where a lot of those white coaches were saying, okay, let's give these guys a chance. And let's let them play. And I think they learned and made the game basketball better for that stretch. So I think that even more and more listening to this conversation, how much of a deep impact you had on sports in general, playing, coaching, style. You know, it's the same, you know, what was back in with James Brown, be black and I'm black and I'm proud. I think it was the same thing with basketball in that day. Okay, we got guys look like me, sound like me, play like me, and they're being successful. Maybe I can do it. And I think that also gets lost in the shuffle too. You know, now that we're older and like you said, kids don't understand that how good they have it or they catch that paved the way.
So let me ask you this though. So you're coach at E-Course. I know we talked earlier. You guys won your division, and you went on and you had a playoff. So you built a program over there. But you got like a bunch of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So like when I know this is how I picture it went. Like they go home and they're like, so who the new coach? And it's dad and mom and they're like, it's a dude named Jimmy King. They're like, Jimmy King is your coach? They're like, yeah, Jimmy King. They're like, you don't know who Jimmy King is? Fab Five. But then the kids went home and watched 30 for 30, and they came back like, I didn't know. Like, did they look at you differently? Like, whoa, the coach had game. That's how it happened.
That's how it happened. It took a while too because I ain't say anything, and over time, they just started watching YouTube and watching the 30 for 30, and they'll come in every day and they'll just I could tell too, like they'll walk in and they'll just be staring at me, just looking at me, and I'll be like, "What's up? What's going on? How you today? You all right? What's going on? How you feel?" And they'll look at me and they'll be like, "Coach, did you really do that? Were you really that good? Were you, how did you do that? Like, when I saw the little clip you did, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, well, that's what we gonna do. And so that's all I did. I was like, look, y'all could do the same thing. And really, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, right? Yeah. Keep it simple. And that's all I did. I just ran a simple motion offense the whole year. We didn't run not one play.
Wow. And so you got, obviously it was successful because you guys, it had been how long since before?
32 years.
32 years. So
32 years. But it's fundamental. Everything is fundamental. But when you watch the game today, everybody, like watching the Warriors and Cavs, everybody want to shoot like Steph. Everybody want to handle like, or have game like KD. Everybody want to handle like Kyrie. That's what they want to do. But what I explain to them is that if you ever watch the game, and when it comes on, it doesn't say NBA, it says NBA entertainment. That's why they get paid like that, because they're entertaining you. But that ain't necessarily how you learn how to play basketball. So that's how I had to break it down for them. Like, look, if you want to learn how to play the game, you watch women's college basketball, because they have to execute a move and they're not athletic to that level where they can cheat or skip the skill level to make a play. Like you have to learn the game. And I think that's part of the problem with the, at the high level now is that the guys are just so athletic that they can make plays, but they're not highly skilled.
That's good advice for that. I think that's our first WNBA plug on the show. I'm pretty sure we have never had a WNBA plug. You got to watch the women's game. That's good advice, though. I can appreciate that because it's all about the fundamentals. And we obviously we coach football, different sport, but it's the same principle. It's all about.
But and see, this is how it correlated. And we were talking about this too. Is that as a basketball player, you got to watch football. Or play. You should play football. So you know how to take a hit. Yeah. You got to learn how to take a hit or give a hit. Yeah. You got to learn to avoid, because you really don't want to get hit, but you got to learn how to have the footwork to avoid it, or at least minimize it or absorb it. Those little things you have to have in your game, which will help you.
I agree. I tell all the kids we coach, I tell them, hey, you need to play all the sports you can, because you want to be a multi-dimensional athlete. And cream rises to the top anyway. Whatever you're gonna be great at, you're gonna be great at. But playing all those sports definitely matter. They definitely help.
I mean, that's what we got taught by Coach Ricasa. Legendary coach here. He would say, "Listen, we didn't have at that time. We didn't have an off-season really workout program. So he was like, go play another sport. Go play basketball. Go play baseball. Go run track. Don't be sitting at home."
Right.
And I think that at that time, Brother Rice was dominant. In high school, I think now me and Turk have talked, coaching. There's been a fall off on some things, but I think it's like we talked earlier, because everything, and it's kind of cut my throat because I do training. I specialize in things, but everything is so specialized that these guys are not as skilled, or it's also the athletic, the sports IQ. If you play football and you get jammed up in a situation, if you get jammed up in basketball, you can use that same knowledge to get out of it.
I used to, after every weekend, right, because we have Sunday off, we practice on Saturdays, give them Sunday off, come back Monday, I ask them, did you watch any of the NFL games yesterday? Because I watched them all. Did you watch them? Did you see when, in a situation, what the player did you see how the quarterback made a decision, like call the audible, change the play at this moment? Like you have to watch those things so you know. If I'm standing on the sideline and I call a play or I give you an assignment or tell you what to look for, then on the court something may happen, but you have to be able to make that decision. You got to be able to audible, in a sense, to make a decision to change the play. I can't do it. So that's the level of the game that you want them to have. Because I told them, I was like, look, I'm not going to teach you the game. I'm not going to teach you this game and you're not able to pass your grades. You know what I mean? It's all correlated. Like, you just can't be a one-sport player. You have to play multiple sports to help your basketball IQ. But you also got to be a great student.
Right.
And with that, so the first, and this is no lie, first 2 months, they was itching. I know they were waiting because they did their homework and they were like, oh, we can't wait to have Coach King in here. They're going to give us all blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, y'all ready? They come to practice. Y'all ready? They'd be like, yeah, Coach. Come on, follow me. Take them down to the library. This is practice. Whoa, yeah, this is practice. This is practice. Until your grades are at the level that I'm satisfied with, this is practice. This is your basketball practice.
But that's needed. It's needed because obviously where we're at, it's a higher academic. So but I coached in public school, and I'll be hard pressed to go back unless that is what is needed.
They need it from the male coach with credibility. They need it from a guy who did it, and to say no, this is the foundation where it starts.
And that's what I'm telling you. I was like, look, it was a lot of guys who were great. The separator for me is that I academically was able to handle the load. So when I started getting on the radar in Texas, right? Nobody ever heard of Plano. I was like, I'm gonna put Plano on the map. So I'm out here doing my homework, reading all these magazine publications. There was no social media, nothing like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this to go to Virginia to get in this 5-star camp, or to go to Pittsburgh to get in this 5-star camp. So, and then I'm looking at I'm reading all the players that they have in this magazine who's supposed to be the top players They're talking about their GPA. They're talking about their extracurricular stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta get on my game and get my grades up and all of that, right? So I'm 3.6 student, all of that. But when I honed my skills, and you start getting recognition as a top player, I also understood that it was also a competition off the court in the classroom, and I wanted to be an academic All-American as well. Because when they come to recruit you, you know, they do their homework. They're going to look and see what classes you took from freshman year on. And they go even further now. So to me, I was like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I dot all my I's, cross all my T's, and there's nothing that they can say. And that's how I ended up becoming the best guard in the country.
And you were, like, if I look at the recruiting class, you, Juwan, Chris, and Jalen were all top 10.
Top 10.
And Ray was like number 84. Like I think he was number 84 in the country. And so that alone, I know all of you guys didn't start right away. And Ray was the one that you just told us about. Ray leading the revolt. Did it have more? Was it more about not playing at Michigan, or was it that he didn't have a hype coming in and he thought he was a lot better? Because you look at Ray Jackson. Ray Jackson was a very good player. He wasn't the number 84 player in the country, but he probably came in with a chip on his shoulder, off rip that these other four guys. I don't even remember like when the class got started. Was Ray Jackson like even one of the spotlights in that 5-man class, or did that come by the time he started playing in the games as a starter?
No, it was when we all signed. So Juwan was the first to sign. He kicked it off, and then he basically recruited everybody else. You know, he called me every night, all the time. I used to come home from practice and phone be ringing. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not here. Tell him I'm not here." So he kicked it off. Then I signed, and then Ray signed in the early signing period in November. And then in the spring, Jalen and Chris signed. That's why Chris wore number 4 and Jalen wore 5, because Chris was the 4th and Jalen was the 5th to sign.
Okay, didn't know that. So you guys, obviously you guys got a brotherhood, and you guys went through all of that together. I mean, 30 for 30, it's probably gonna be more movies and stuff that come out. You know, as time goes on, the story gets even more detailed. Like you said, you found out something this week.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know, it's funny how that stuff works, though. But I know you were mentioning earlier about you guys got a camp coming up at Michigan.
In Ann Arbor. This will be our 2nd annual Fab Five camp. Last year was the inaugural year. Last August, myself, Jalen, Ray, and Juwan put on the Fab Five camp in August at the O3 facility. It's actually Saline, but it's right on the border, so it's not like you're going deep into Saline. And the details of that, we're having a camp this year, August 14th through the 17th, for 6 to 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and the cost of the camp for early birds is $275, $299, and that's with appearances from NBA players. We're teaching them or talking to them about fundamentals, teaching fundamentals, and talking to them about nutrition, being great students, bringing some speakers that can help them with their ACT, SAT scores, and they getting top of the line training. I mean, the things that we give them and that we're going to do is kind of the things that I've done with my team this year, which really took them from something they haven't done in 30 years to achieving something in a short amount of time. So the level of instruction.
What was that they achieved?
Run the district for the first time in 32 years at Ecorse High School, and I didn't even know that until we won it.
Wow.
So for this week in August, we're taking these kids to the library.
For the week, that's part of it. We do have a session where we sit down with them, and we do have those discussions with them academically, because that's important. And I bring in a former U of M administrator, Shelly Kovacs.
Kovacs' mom? Is that the same Kovac?
The same Kovac.
Okay.
Yeah. She's my surrogate mother. She's a surrogate mother to thousands of athletes up there. She just recently retired, I think maybe 2 years ago. And we've done a lot of work together, and you know, God bless her. She's the best because her heart's in the right place, and you know, she's a straight shooter.
So
Hey, hold on real quick. Can you imagine if you was like, hey, yo, I want to go to this Michigan camp. I put the money down. I got my gear up straight and straight. You get there and say, okay, we about to hoop. All right, this week we're going to the library every day from 9 to 7. And we're going, people are like, what?
Because that's part of it, and then that's the part that kids miss though.
No refunds.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you know what you signed up for. but that's it though, and that's, you know, to transcend back into, you know, what we were talking about. Like, if you want to be a great basketball player, to be recruited at a high level, you have to have a high level of academics, and we will be doing a disservice to you if we didn't incorporate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So here you go. This is what you want to know, right? Because there's something. So you said you're having this camp, and there's going to be 4 cats coming. Now, wasn't it? It was 5 of y'all, and this is something that Turk. And I said I'll leave this to you this week to ask these questions.
Well, I'm sure you get it asked all the time.
What
And
question? I
see
can't even imagine. What
see-
question do you want to ask
See,
about?
like, do they say, hey, is Chris coming to the camp this year? Is that like is it an open invitation, Chris? Hey,
Chris
you
is
ever want to come?
always invited to any and everything that we do. Chris is involved, whether he's there or not. He's always, it always will be my brother. And just like, we all have family. We got cousins, we got brothers, you know, sisters, you know, that we spat with, and it just happens to be a soap opera, drawn out, long spat. That's all.
So I know Chris's wife. Congratulations to C-Web, his wife. They just had
a
twins.
bit. I saw that.
All right, so the Jalen, Ray, Jimmy, and Joanna, they say, hey man, we got to send these baby gifts over. Y'all got the, you know, the diapers, you know, the diaper party and all that stuff. Shout out to C-Web.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
that's good.
congratulations, Webb.
That's good.
You
That's
deserve
good.
it, young man.
That's good. Yeah. So moving forward, if you're listening to the show, we got Jimmy King in today, member of the Fab Five. If you want to call in and talk about what we talked about so far, 248-721-8570. We're talking the history of Michigan basketball. One of the innovators of the game right now, as far as the style, as far as the flash in the game. Jimmy King, one of the great 2 guards that come out of Michigan, one of the great 2 guards come out of the country back then. And we're talking about what you're doing now. You're coaching high school basketball, and obviously, like you said, you guys have had some success. And I'm sure that with that being over in E-Course, you got Romulus right there, you got Ypsilanti, you got a nice pool of talent there. Our kids come in and say, hey, I want you to teach me how to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that come up like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
what do I got to be the next Jimmy King? I'm sure, or the next C. Webb, the next Jawan Howard. So you're probably going to get a good group of kids coming there here soon.
Well, we got a group. I mean, just and yes, you're right. You're right, because the surrounding areas are littered with talent. But E-Course itself has a lot of talent. E-Course gets poached, so a lot of the kids end up going to different places. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of kids. Like, you don't have to go outside of E-Course, even though it's a small town. So the kids that I have right now, I have a few from around the city, but they're mainly E-Course kids.
Okay.
And honestly, I mean, you know, I welcome out any and everybody, but, you know, I work with what I got. I don't, you know, this culture today, like the AAU culture, where you're just out here like, okay, I'm a stockpile talent. You're not really teaching them the game. I told them, I'm like, you know, you have a passion for the game. That's all that matters to me. I'm going to teach you, and we're going to get the best out of you. We're going to work, and that's all it is. That's all it takes. So if you're willing to learn and be patient, because we started out this year 0-7.
And won
it. We started out 0-7 because it was a process that they had to
buy
learn.
into.
Yeah, and buy in and learn. So I had to be very patient. It was frustrating, but I can see that they were getting it, and it really is snatching the rug from out under them, because everything that they thought they knew and they were comfortable in, I upended. Because I was like, you know, well, I sat all summer long and watched them open gym. I ain't say anything to them. I know they thought I was crazy. I just come in there and sit there, and I wouldn't say a word. I watched them all summer, and I learned every aspect, every good, bad thing that they do. on and off the court. I watch how they talk to each other, what they do, how they move, all of that. And that's how I knew how to bring them together. Because it's just, you know, it's the best coaches are managers. You really are managing, you know, personalities.
Yep, I agree. Because like 12, you got, you know, football, we got a bunch of it too. You got 12 tight knit dudes. You need all of them locked in.
You gotta be moving on one accord. So you gotta understand what each other is doing. Like I should be able to look at Ben. I should be able to look at him, and he look at me, and I could tell how he's sitting, what he's thinking.
Yeah.
I could tell, you know, that's what they do, you know, and that's what we did. Like, you know, a lot of, like when we were talking to each other. We were talking trash to each other. Like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking? And they thought we were talking to the other team, but we were talking to each other. Like, come on, man, like, let's go. Now we did talk to the other team a little bit, but the majority was to each other. We were motivating each other.
That's good. Iron sharp as iron. Iron sharp. So, I mean, you just talked about you got the talent right here in house. You know, you don't have to go far out of E-course, and that's a good way to transition to this NBA Finals because we've been talking about it for several weeks.
Oh, wait, he about to come in, he about to step in our arena now. Are you ready? The Turk tried to slide you on out, you know, I'm giving that forewarning, you about to get body slammed.
So we watch the NBA Finals, we talk about it every week. I now, you know, we can rewind the tapes. I had Golden State losing one game in the playoffs, you know, and winning it all.
Golden State 5.
Yeah, and the one thing I talked about that I think it was probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, I said it was amazing to me, and I wasn't one of those people that knocked KD the way he did, because I was like, hey, it's about when you're trying to win, you got to go against LeBron. You need to get a team that's better than him. Go out here and look at the grocery list, and how do I get better? Go to Golden State. I said what was amazing to me and fascinating to me, as good as people think Curry is and Clay and Draymond, is that when KD got there and when they really took off, because early on they were good but they weren't great. When they really took off is when they realized that our best player was Kevin Durant, and Curry became the sidekick instead of the lead show. And if you watch the finals, KD was the offense ran through KD. Curry would just kill you because you start forgetting about him. You know, Curry and Clay and Draymond, they did their thing. But I thought it was great. I thought the finals were great, even though it was 4-1. I appreciated seeing good basketball. I mean, LeBron was amazing in the finals. They came up short against a better team. So let me ask you this though, Washington. How do you feel about what KD did? Are you one of those people that says that it was weak to go to a team that was his competition, or he's his right to go wherever, and we'll let the chips fall where they may?
Now, initially, I ain't like it. I ain't like when he initially left Oklahoma City to go to Golden State, because I felt like you took the defending champions to Game 7 and really ended up losing that game in the last 4.5 minutes of that game. Because Oklahoma City's Achilles heel was they couldn't close out. They couldn't finish games. And I think if he had stayed there, they could have beat him. I mean, that's my personal opinion. But obviously he didn't feel that way. And so with that being said, I'm not mad at him for doing it, because he felt his best chance to win was to go to Golden State and play with the other guys there. Now, the super team thing and all of that, like, whatever. Like, you know, you had the Bulls, you had the Lakers, you had the Celtics, you had Philly. Like, those were considered super teams back in the day. You had the Pistons. Those were considered super teams. So that narrative to me is overstated, I think. But to see what he did to go to Golden State and actually stick to the goal and win the championship and be the MVP shows that he's one of the top 2 players in the world. I mean, you got LeBron and KD, and I've always liked KD since he came out of the University of Texas. Like, when I saw him in Texas, I was like, that's a special kid. That's a 7-foot guard. You know, you had Dirk Nowitzki, who could shoot it and could play out.
He was
and
Larry
stretch
Bird
the-
2.0.
Right, he was Larry Bird 2.0, but Kevin is a guard.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he's a straight up guard that can actually play
7
off
foot.
position. Yeah. So
I know Rocco want to chime in, but just real quick, like to piggyback off what you said, I think what validated KD's move even more, and if he would have went to Golden State in the finals and would have been the third best player and just made it happen there, Golden State looked like if he wasn't there doing this thing, they don't win this thing, and it might be 4-1 the other way. KD was the best player out there, so I think that even made the move he made, it validated it even more in my eyes.
absolutely, and people are saying like, how can you say that? Because LeBron averaged a triple-double. The reason why he averaged a triple-double is because he had to. If KD had to, I think he would have too. But, that's the reason why you want to play with the best players. It's a team sport. Like, you can't win in any sport without good teammates. So, I'm not faulting him for going out to Golden State to play with a team that he felt like he could win with. They didn't do anything illegal, nothing happened. I mean, they had the money, they paid him. It just worked out, for him. And now what we're going to see happen is shift to Cleveland. What are they going to do to kind of counteract what Cleveland or Golden State did this year?
Well, I can tell you because we talked about it last week. They can't do anything. Here's the problem. And one thing that I said about this loss is that this is LeBron's fault, and everybody's what we talking about. Not LeBron the player, LeBron the de facto GM. And here's what happened. He put together, nothing gets approved without him. And some of the money they get, that's the big thing we talked about last week, Tristan Thompson's, his contract 5 for 84, and then J.R. Smith. So they're eating up 25 minutes. Okay, those three, because I didn't bring up, you brought it. Yeah. So here's the thing. You're not going to get rid of Kyrie. Right, Kevin Love, I would say maybe if you want to put him on a trade block, but he still gets boards. Tristan, ain't nobody gonna take that.
No.
Somebody might, maybe if Isaiah Thomas goes back with the Knicks, like you'll get. I mean, but and then J.R. Smith is so shaky. And here's the thing: maybe they would have had a chance to win if he'd played. But we went through his stats. I think for the finals, he averaged 6 points, and that's just because he pulled those last two out of his ass. He had 16 and 20. So I don't know. You just took on the best team. If they hold true to what they said they're going to do, what are you going to do? How are you coming back? Because and the rest of those guys are old. JR's 32. Those guys are getting older. So LeBron's getting older. What are you going to do now?
I had a Cavs fan I was arguing with him online. He told me that the Pacers would take because Paul George is going to the last year's contract. They would take J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert for Paul George. I said, he said, it's because you got to have a salary floor. I said, nobody's taking, those guys got 3 years left on their deals. Why would anybody take that on for Paul George? So I agree. You can't even buy out. You're going to be stuck with it.
Well, see, the thing with Paul George's contract is that he's an unrestricted free agent. So after this year, it's either like trade me or you're going to lose
For
me
nothing.
for nothing.
Yeah.
So that's his leverage.
Yeah,
That's his leverage.
And I see something popped up that said that I saw on Bleacher Report popped up that said he's playing this year out. He's not signed. So, like, woe to the teams that trade for me.
Right.
I'm not signing a deal
with you. Right.
So if you trade for me,
right,
you better be willing to to come back to the table and negotiate after the fact. Where you might give all that up and get nothing.
Or trade me to a team that I'm gonna stay with, because if you trade me, there's no guarantee.
Yeah. Yep.
So with that, right? Because this burns, and people know that I am a true guy that I love athletics. Period. I like if you're. I wouldn't say like we always say in the show. I'm not a fanboy, right? And I hate people that are fanboys. But the thing is, LeBron came out. So you know what? You took that L. They beat you down. Yeah, the last couple games were good. You got blown out the first two, but LeBron came back, and it was very. I don't like passive aggressive people. Like, I speak my mind. If I don't like something, I'll be diplomatic about it, but I'm going to tell you I don't like it, don't do this or this, that. So he comes out, you got to be, but there's no, however the comment came out, he said, I've never played for a super team. And I said, wait a minute, what does he mean? I never played for a super team. I was like, yeah, the first Cavs teams, yeah, they were a super team, they was garbage. But you left to go to Miami, which was your right. I have no problem with someone's guys trying to argue their way out or get out under their contract. Sometimes I have an issue with that because you fulfill what you do. But he left. He had the right to leave. And he went to Miami, and he talked Bosh into leaving. Bosh went down there. Those are all. I don't know if D Wade's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if Bosh will be, but that was a legitimate. And then you had some pieces like Chalmers and guys that were good role players that scored some points. You went down there and assembled probably the second outside of Boston what they did. And you're saying I didn't play for super team, where like we just said before, I don't consider those guys a super team, Golden State, because they drafted and they put work in for 4 years, and then they said, okay, KD, we lost to these cats. KD will be the cherry on top, right? So my thing is, I've lost a little. Like, I don't know him personally, so as a person, I guess okay, but as an athlete, I'm not saying I dislike him for what he does, but I'm trying to dislike the stuff, the crying I see on the court, these little passive-aggressive comments like, bro, you're the best player in the world. Jordan, why I feel that you can't compare him to Jordan, because what did Jordan say? You never know, he didn't lose in the final, but Jordan get beat, you beat him? Or when the Pistons used to pound on him, or Boston pounded on him, he said, I'm going to beat Boston. And then the Pistons got in his way, and he never complained. He'd get mad because the beer almost broke his neck one time, but he pretty much said, I am going to come back with an a-hole mentality and beat you. LeBron is too much soft, crying, maybe good. What are your thoughts about that? Because that's starting to irritate me.
I think you're right. And I think that he listens too much to the criticism. He listens too much to the praise, which is a problem. That's the reason why, like, if your leader is able, if I'm able to come out on the court and knock you off your square by saying something, y'all in trouble. Because I'm going to talk to you all day. I'm going to be in your ear all night long. Like, I'm gonna make it to the point where you're going to want to swing on me.
Right.
And you know how, once you got somebody in that, you got them. You're in the head. You got them. So to me, that's the part that I think that he has improved on, but I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's the part in him that I necessarily wasn't a fan of. And you're right. You're the best player in the world. What are you complaining about? You get more calls than anybody. The same game where he was crying about a call, he got 3 phantom calls. Like phantom calls.
At least 2 of them you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, right. And so that's why I'm like, you just kind of, it's a maturity thing. You just really got to sit back, bite your tongue, and just watch that play.
Years old.
I know, and I know. That's why I pause when I say maturity thing, because he's 33, and I know he knows this, and I don't want to chalk it up like it's his makeup, but yeah, that's a part of the game that I really think that if he changes that, it changes a lot, and it changes the people around him.
Made me think about that Cam Newton thing. Dang, too bad they don't make Band-Aids for feelings. You need to go and figure it out.
So real quick, it's 248-721-8570. We're live on the Rock Turk Sports Show. This is the extended 90-minute version, so we're going to go for 30 more minutes. We're here in studio with Jimmy King of the Fab Five and Ben Galloway. If you got a question in here about what we're talking about, whether it be the Fab Five, whether it be what's going on now with Jimmy King and his camp's coming up soon in Ann Arbor, or you want to talk NBA Finals, we're here. We're on the LeBron topic, and we all know I'm not a LeBron fan at all. Jimmy, you went to Ann Arbor, and I think for me, I've always been a Michigan fan. I'll always go blue. I ended up playing ball at Bowling Green, and I got more disdain for Ohio because I went to school in Ohio, so I was right there in it. So people ask me like, you're not rooting for LeBron. I say I don't root for Cleveland. That's me. I don't root for Ohio. But one thing I respect LeBron, and he's a fantastic player. But like you were saying, some of the things that he does to be such a big guy and to flop around and cry for calls, it's not that he does it. It's that it carries over to the Dante Jones on his team. When Dante Jones is getting attacked, I think that it's too many guys who haven't earned the right to do things on the Cleveland Cavaliers that feel like they can do it because they got LeBron on their team. And you know what happened, and this is even off the court and on the court, what happens, those guys are so dependent on LeBron. Psychologically they are, teamwork they are, that when LeBron comes off the court for 2 minutes, they can't play without him. And these are, I'm talking about Deron Williams, Richard Jefferson, guys who have been in the war. They psychologically, they cannot play without this guy.
We got a phone call right now.
Okay, hey, welcome to the Rock and Turk Show. Who's this? Well, you know, we have a professional in here, so when whatever's getting ready to come out your mouth, if it's you can argue with us, but we got a professional in here now, so go ahead, let this fly. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, my brother? How you, man? Thank you.
Hey, but in terms of LeBron James and Rocco, I just wanted to let you know that you took a statement out of context about the Super Team. What he was actually trying to say is that don't make excuses for him and his team if they lose to Golden State and that they lost to a Super Team. He was basically saying he doesn't believe in the term Super Team.
Yeah, but then he said, I never played for a super team.
He's going to dominate everybody because the NBA is so competitive and you got a lot of good players.
But why didn't he? Well, Dre, let me ask you this though: if that's what he meant, why didn't he just say that?
That's what he said.
No, but
That's not what he said.
But, yeah, he said. But then they asked, I've never played for a super team, and that's my problem.
He didn't say Golden State was not a super team. He just said I never played for. If you would have said, I don't believe in super teams.
So what would you call Miami when he went at that time?
I wouldn't call Miami because if you look at a team like the Detroit Pistons that won the championship, went to the Eastern Conference Finals 6 years in a row, on paper you would say that was a super team.
Well, I would say.
Because of how well they played together and the fact that they were together for a long time and they were a team. So you can take a lot of good players, that doesn't make them a super team. Just because you take the best of the best and put them on a team doesn't mean they're going to gel well. It doesn't mean they're going to like each other, pass the ball well.
But
Here's why they weren't a super team. Here's why they weren't a super team. Hey, here's why they're not a super team. They went to 6 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. How many finals did they go to? How many championships they win? So if you go to 2 and you play 1, but you have a team that's kind of stacked. Sheed, Ben Wallace, Rip. I mean, Tayshaun came on. I mean, and they had some decent bench players. That's not comparable to what Miami had.
well, Jimmy, what do you think? What Dre's saying that LeBron didn't mean that?
Here's my question. What defines a super team?
Black Sox.
But see, that's why that question to me, like, like when, and that's the first time anyone's ever asked me that, like, because I don't know what a super team is.
So
It's that team
I
you
don't
put
know.
together in NBA Live.
Because
you knew
was the Celtics in the 60s a super team? I mean, they won what, 8?
Yeah, they probably.
Okay,
8 out of 10?
let's look at in this era where there was no free agency back then, like there's now. So we're saying in this era of free agency, when you're a free agent
But they can still be a super team.
Yeah.
they can be a super team. I'm not saying they're a great team, but what I'm saying is you can now construct with the right moves and the money that's available now, especially with the new contract. You can build and construct a team that is going to be far, like especially in the East now. If let's say the Wizards got Paul George, and maybe they pulled in another piece. That's a team you got 2 guys over there. Now you bring in 2 pieces you constructed, and that's what's going to have to happen for someone to come out of the East.
So was Oklahoma City a super team?
No, because they drafted everybody. Because they drafted everybody.
KD and James Harden.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Are we defining what a super team is? Because
That's why I'm asking.
I think if you draft the players, then I think super team is not a positive term to be called. I think it is.
It's like Boston with Ray Allen. Those guys.
It's like the New York Yankees. Like remember the New York Yankees when they had
Just
this
pay every-
huge payroll, right? And it was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Look at it on paper. Look at the Michael Jordan team when he came out of retirement, and he had picked up Kukoc when he had left. You could basically say that was a
It was because they brought in
and went to a super team, but then they got beat in the playoffs by the Orlando Magic. So
Yeah, but he came in, but he wasn't Jordan though. He wasn't Jordan. He just had come back from the end of the season. What happened the next 3 years when he was in shape?
Yeah, he was still Kilroy.
No, I'm saying he was playing baseball that year. He was playing
It
baseball.
doesn't matter if you don't play basketball for 6 months or a year, 2 years. You come back. Yeah, he was Jordan, but he wasn't
The same.
Jordan.
Look, put it this way, Dre. The same logic that people put an asterisk next to the San Antonio Spurs first championship because it was on a short season is the same logic I would use with Jordan when he played that short year with the Bulls. That wasn't That wasn't Michael Jordan. We were getting, the rusty Jordan. But when
you still say on paper that it was a super
It was because they went out
Absolutely.
and got guys. Right.
Like Chris, you can take Chris Bosh, LeBron James,
But they didn't know. But they
three great players and put them together and say, oh, it's a super team. Like, there's a lot of other players that contribute.
well, yes, it's obviously a team sport. You gotta have guys that can walk and chew gum. I agree, but
Haslam, David Jones, I mean, that's a lot of guys on that team.
you just named Damon Jones.
Yeah,
Haslam.
yeah, come on, bro. The has-beens never were, and never will be.
When people talk about the Miami Heat championship run, they don't be mentioning Damon Jones and Udonis Haslam.
Mike Miller.
They mentioned not one, not two. Remember that concept?
What about Ray Allen though? Because Ray, without that steal in the corner and that fadeaway
Ray
three,
Allen won it.
Yeah, LeBron's
Allen-
2-6.
Yeah, Ray Allen, he channeled his inner Jesus Shuttleworth for that 1 minute. I don't know. That did say, you're right. That
was
right
right.
there.
And if that
a
hill
wrap.
comes down, he's out of bounds.
Yeah,
So wow.
that was one of the classic moments of LeBron. LeBron could be 2-6
2-6.
instead of 3-5, and I'd be smiling even more.
That's why there's no such thing as a super team. Everybody on the team is doing this shit.
So you don't have any problem with KD
And that's
Golden
why I
State, right?
brought that up, because I don't know what a super team is.
As long as it's legally, I mean, I'm fair game. I said this: if you can make it work financially, do it.
That's what I'm saying. In the day and age we live, do I like it? Not necessarily, but you know what? That's the A. Like you said, why you don't like the AU culture? It's the AU culture. Hey, I want to go play with my boy. That's cool if we ended up that way, or I played for it. But now it's just everybody's got these undercurrent scheming plans. I'm going to go play with you in here, okay? Then, because I think honestly, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you, KD's gonna hang on. I think he'll re-up for one more year. I don't know what. And I think LA will draft him, and I think Russell Westbrook's heading to LA, and I think KD's gonna are they gonna head to LA? That's what I'm thinking. Because they don't like. I just think it's too clean.
KD is staying in Golden State.
For one more year with another chip, and he's gonna go play with his boy.
He's not gonna be a guy to keep jumping ship. I think his business is out there. He's gonna stay. But one thing I did read interesting, and Drake, I don't know if you're still there now, but one thing I read interesting. It was crazy. They said if the Golden State Warriors keep these guys, even if KD take a pay cut and they keep these guys, Klay Thompson's gonna be a free agent in 2 years. If they re-up Klay, Dre is up in 3 years. If they re-up Dre, in 4 years they will have paid $1 billion in salary and luxury tax. $1 billion.
So if they pay the bill, how much you think they bring it in? Because it's still
That's
business.
200. That's $250 million a year on average that they will spend. I mean, a payroll on the NBA team is a little over $100 million. I know it's gonna go over the TV money. But $1 billion, and I think Cleveland, if Cleveland tries to keep these guys, they are close to 1.5.
Hey, Jimmy, what'd you say? NBA entertainment. Because you know what? That's all it's about. Because what I always tell people, I don't care if you had $1 million contract with me. If they can pay you $1 million, they make 10 times that.
Right.
So if they're spending a quarter of a billion or $1 billion, then he's happy. And his franchise, and what he bought the franchise for $2 billion. What do you think it's going to be worth in at the time he wants to jump ship?
You better sell it before LeBron retires, because that property going to be worth a lot less in Cleveland. I just lost my train of thought. But back to LeBron James and Cleveland. When he left the first time, I don't know if you remember, they did the financial impact of LeBron leaving Cleveland.
Oh,
it was. I mean, I went to school in Bowling Green, so I had a lot of Cleveland friends. I mean, I had friends who came up here. We were arguing in the barbershop. I mean, in the barbershop. They were furious because, like, LeBron leaving town was essentially like General Motors packing up and leaving, because it was such a huge. It was a $500 million engine to the Cleveland area. That's crazy.
Let me tell you something that most people don't know, and I can't tell you how I know this information, but it is legitimate information. So, at the time when he was getting ready to leave, Dan Gilbert was in the because he's bought up a lot of the property here in Detroit, and he's got a lot of stuff, but he bought up a lot of property down in Cleveland, the Flats, all that stuff. They were getting, number one, they were getting ready to bring a casino down there to that Flats area, build that up. Number two, he was not confirmed, but he was getting ready to make a run at the mayor, to run for mayor down there in Cleveland, do some stuff. They had built up, just like how they're building up downtown Detroit now, they had built up off the back of LeBron. So yeah, just like kind of Silverdome. When the Silverdome left, that area died in a couple years. So he left, and all those people were sitting there because, okay, you bring in at draft Anthony Bennett and think that's going to replace everything. And then, so he lost the bid for the casino, or they decided not to do it. Right? There was a lot of stuff, financial stuff tied in. So when he wrote that letter, y'all out your mind if you think he was just mad because the basketball team was not going to be any good, they were going to championship. There was a lot of financial stuff tied in there. So when it left, the fans were angry because they were hurt. But he was hurt because I don't know how much money he lost in that deal at that time, and that's why he opened his hand and his pocketbook up when LeBron came back, because I'm sure there's deals on the table going on right now.
I can corroborate that story. During that time too, I won't tell how I know too, but I was fortunate enough to, take some tours in the city back in 2008, 2007. And they took me all through the city and showed me how they were going to develop and build up the city then. And I was like, when I would speak to people about, real estate and about, what's going on, I'm like, it's too late. Like, like that ship has sailed. Like the plans have been made. I've seen them. And to sit here in 2017 and just like see it come to fruition is crazy, because it was a very comprehensive plan, and I saw how it was spiraling down from downtown up to Midtown and Wayne State area and places like that.
Yeah,
It was a serious deal.
And that's the man, and that his when he's not being getting beat up on the radio, he's a project manager for pretty big company, and he always tells us about what and their hands almost in everything, so he knows everything.
Yeah, it's definitely come a long way. I'm really excited to see the Pistons move on town, even though I'm not excited about the product we putting on the court, which is that's a good segue, because we got a little bit of time left. We'll talk about this NBA draft, because I know you were a part of the draft. You obviously got drafted at the top of the second round. Toronto Raptors. This draft is allegedly loaded with talent. Allegedly.
Yeah, the first 6 picks.
Right.
Yeah.
6, right.
But I'm reading. The more I read, the more I read. The Lonzo Ball diary is taking a turn, and I'm interested to see, because the draft is next Thursday. We're only a week away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see if Lonzo doesn't go to LA. Who is willing to take that on, that media circus, as a distraction? Who is willing to take that on? What's your thoughts? Now, you're a head coach of basketball. Now, one thing I'll say, and I'm a bottom line guy, I say, hey, LeVar Ball got 3 kids who turn out to be pretty good basketball players. He's got to be doing something right. On the flip side of that, how do you feel about a parent like LeVar Ball? Is that a parent that you will embrace because he's heavily involved, or are you like, hey man,
go sit down,
back up, go sit down?
I will embrace him because that's his child. And if you really listen to him without the bravado, he's making sense.
Sure.
So I'm not offended, or I'm not looking at him like he's hurting his child, with the things he does. When this is something that they are obviously cool with, because the kid could be like, yo, hey, come on, Dad, you might have to chill out on that a little bit.
On, man.
I have a relationship, with my father where I can say that.
Yes.
I know, but what I don't know is that, is he really that controlling, or they're just like, he's almost like their alter ego.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I don't know. Obviously, we can talk about it personally after. Did you watch the Jimmy Kimmel interview?
Mm-hmm. No, not all of it. I seen part of it.
Go back and watch it, and don't listen to the content.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, put something over his dad,
Mm-hmm.
and just watch him. There was another interview that was on ESPN. I can't think of the guy there in their living room on their couch. Cover up his dad, and just watch his reactions. You know how you are with your father. These guys, he speaks, but they're controlled. And then if you take your hand away, and then you look when Jimmy Kimmel asks questions to him, and then you watch his father, there's something there. Does he want the best for his children? Yes, I believe that is. How he goes about it is unconventional, but you can't tell somebody how to raise their kids or what they think is best. But I think that he, in some way, and I was going to bring this up later, but I think he's going to be in a different way than new Todd Marinovich. Right? Todd Marinovich's father was just on him about his physical, be this, be that. I don't think he cared. He didn't care about the fame. He wasn't in the limelight. But he pushed him so hard that when he finally got from underneath his thumb, he lost it. I don't think it'll be that bad, but I think it's 2 things. One, that his dad is trying to cash in. Go ahead, do what you got to do. That's between y'all. That's something that your relationship will have to deal with if you fail. But the other thing is, I think it's opening up the door, because now what's happened is what he's done to his, this last coach that was on the smallest one's team, that basically, I think it's in the middle of the season, he went into the locker room there in a Vegas tournament and started yelling, and what happened was divided the team. Guys that were with coach, guys that missed the ball, and obviously they didn't end up winning the state title. You're opening up the door, and we coach, and we've had parents at bay, but now certain people are gonna say, well, my kid's my commodity, if he's gonna make a buck or do whatever. I think his question was right, but I think you're looking down, you said, yeah, you would embrace him, but what happens when you embrace him and he gets out of control? Then
Well,
what
see,
happens?
this is because that didn't happen at UCLA, and I think the reason why it happened at the high school level is because it's high school, and he could talk to the coach that way because they had a relationship. He helped him get the job.
Okay.
So that's kind of the reason why I think he felt like he can do that. So again, obviously I don't think that was the right way to go about it, you know, but I don't think he's as bad as he
He's not
comes
bad.
off.
He's a black
As he
man
comes off.
that's allowed pumping his kid, and people don't like it.
And so at the end of the day, I will embrace him. If that kid is the kid that I want, I can handle the father.
But
I can handle the father.
But you know what? I'm not saying. You know why you can handle the father? You are Jimmy King. You've been on the biggest stages.
But this dude,
but hold on, wait. You've been on the biggest stages. You've had more pressure than maybe me and him. I mean, I played college football. We had some pressure. You've seen it all, been there, done it. You can handle that. What about this guy that just got fired? That was a 28-year-old coach. And again, where he brought him in or not, Jimmy King can handle it. And people are going to talk to you differently because of just the respect factor. They know you're not. What about the guy that's not Jimmy King? That's what you have to look at and see.
And in that situation, you know, I think that every person or man is their own man. When you come across LeVar and you know, you're having a conversation with him, I think he knows who he may be able to
Who go upside his head if
right,
you don't
and,
want
right.
to.
You gotta set the tone up.
You're right.
So I mean, basically, in summary, and Ben, you can chime in on this too. In summary, you guys are both buying pairs of Big Baller Brand shoes. You are, you know, $500.
I'm buying them if they were fresh.
But they're the Kobe's.
Right,
Take
they
it over.
Exactly. We seen those before.
So you're not even a slide. You're not even gonna get the slides.
Oh man.
We're gonna. I'm just telling you. Okay, later on this year, we are gonna have a consumer report on the Big Baller Brand shoe in studio live. We're gonna
But he
do
said
it.
he sold about what, 500 pairs?
Yeah, but hold on, listen, here's what happened. The first day, he sold 246 pair. The next time they talked to him, which is when he went off on Christine Lisi, which was 2 weeks later, he only sold 500 up to that point. So you sold, in one day you sold 240,
Right.
you sold 160 in 2 weeks later, right? I don't know. It's
I mean,
It's 500 pair, man. At $500, that's that 250,000.
But the thing is, that would you break even? Because you know you got who's paying. I'm telling you, if you buy a pair of them shoes and wear them, they want you keeping that box. And I think if you start running, it's gonna peel off some purple and gold. That's what I think will happen. So you know, and now he just got it. And we didn't get a chance to get into it, but I don't know if you saw that he just got a deal. He's selling trading cards now with his sayings on it.
What?
And you didn't hear about this?
He got a deal.
He got a deal.
See, this man is a genius, man.
He's right. I'm not saying he's not, but it's the thing is just there can be so much.
With his quotes on them.
It's a picture of him like going to Stephen A. right, and on the back it's like.
What did I say? What was the quote?
Yeah.
What was the quote I said? That was gonna be something. Remember what did he say? Kobe ain't Lonzo.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
With that,
I bet you that's on there.
everything he's got. No, he's got no. It's the cards, and not all the sayings. Just one card, one saying. So he sold them. They're selling them for $60. They went on. He was at. It was some company in Vegas, whatever. He sold it. The started at 1 o'clock online, and he sold out by 1:01 p.m. And now they're gonna, and it's limited until I think July. You can get them ordered. So. That's my problem, though, is that's fine. The dad shouldn't be the star. And he's doing what he's doing, but that's my problem with him. And I think you know the culture. It's easier in basketball than football to do it, but there's going to be people that are out there that got KDs and Iversons and Webbers and Jimmy Kings that are saying this is the new way to go. And I think it's just going to, and basketball, to me, and I wish we could have got to, it's already on shaky ground to me as it is. With it's basically you have a pro league that's also a developmental league in the same thing, and and kids, like you say, you're teaching them the fundamentals, and guys just come in here because I'm a better athlete than you. That's what I think Lonzo Ball is. I think he's a better athlete than everybody, and when he gets up there, it's going to be a different story.
Well, on the NBA commission, which I was surprised, he's for no college. Like he says, hey,
because it's I can
Yeah.
get you in my baseball.
Now I would have thought he's a conservative dude. I would have thought he'd have been more for 2 years in college.
He is a dude
for
that's
zero
making
college.
money.
Yeah, that's the bottom line is, hey, come on, come to the league.
Well, here's what I can
we
do.
got more room to develop in the league.
I can drop, not that they would, the players union, but I can make salaries a little bit lower. Okay, you're going to be 17, okay, we're not going to pay you 20 million, we'll be 10 million, whatever. Because they're getting so much money now outside from shoes and all other stuff.
The league is actually is poor. I don't want to say poor, but is the skills of the league have diminished. The actual return on the league, as far as capital, has gone through the roof. Which
I mean, look at the two teams. You look at the Spurs, right? Still to this day, fundamentally sound. You look at Golden State, they can shoot the ball. Those two things you got to do, and they play defense, right? They both play defense. You look at Cleveland, they have success when they're hitting threes, but then you look at all the rest of the teams, man, these dudes can't dribble, cats can't come off a simple ass pick and roll.
three or a layup.
Yeah, there's no 10-foot jumper, 15-foot jumper
Right.
anymore.
No in between game and that's the art. That's where the game is. They're either shooting bombs or trying to shoot a layup. No pull ups.
Or and one mixtape.
Yeah. They want to dribble
That hot sauce.
between their legs 5 times and do a spin, and ain't nobody on them.
Yeah. I think what I call basketball is what the UFC is, right? People didn't appreciate, you argue with me, NBA players, greatest athletes in the world. I play football, it's a lot more. I think we're all good athletes. But let's just say that people don't realize that as great as they were and how tough that stuff, that was a lot going on, and guys were great athletes. Now you're looking at the UFC, they didn't respect boxing. Boxing is an art, and you fought, and there's a lot of skill that goes into it. It may look boring. You get to UFC, it's a lot of kicking and flailing, and basically turns into a wrestling match, right? But it's what everybody wants to see because it's hot. So my thing is maybe that's why everybody said they loved the regular season this year. It was a lot of flash and trash. Mm-hmm. You get to how are you going to be in a league where 2 teams lose up until the finals? One person has one loss.
Yeah.
One loss.
Each team.
I just think the NBA is in trouble, and I think that hopefully guys like you that understand what I like what KD said is I respect the game. I have an appreciation for the game. I know the history of the game. Some of these guys don't know, even in football, some of these guys don't know. So that hopefully there's more coaches like you that help get guys prepared. So when a coach gets them in, my whole goal and Turk's goal is if we syndicate, you might not be able to play right off the bat because you're physically not ready, but mentally you right up there with everybody else. And I think until high school coaches, AU coaches get back to that,
it's going to be tough.
That's what I'm saying. Send your kids. I got them.
Second plug of the
day. Real quick before we get out of here, just plug again what the events you have going on and how they can get to them.
So I got the Fab Five camp. Information will be out soon. Check my Twitter and my Facebook. It's under my name, my picture. Pretty easy to find. Kind of the same method that I used last year. Use social media to pump it up. Did a couple of radio and TV interviews. The camp is August 14th through the 17th. Ages 6 to 18. Early bird special $275 up until July 10th, and then it will be $299 after that.
All right, make sure you get that to us. We'll make sure we put up all of our social media so people can find it. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And you're welcome back anytime. And just I'm just kind of like a little kid right now because all the we got some exclusives with the Fab Five stories and stuff.
Some hot takes today. Ray Jackson, Jimmy King.
I got plenty more.
So we're gonna hear this Venezuela story.
We need, what we need to do, and we gotta go. But we need, like Dave Chappelle had, like the Charlie Murphy Chronicles. We need the Jimmy King Chronicles, man. I know you got.
I'm working on it. I'm actually working on it right now. Yes, I've been working on it for the past 3 years.
We can do skits and everything in the background. We can have this all played out.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, just once again, I want to thank our guest Jimmy King and also Ben Galloway for being here today, and also that today's show was brought to you and sponsored by Blaze Contracting. Hey, for next week, you got
The upcoming NBA draft.
you wanna talk about the Conor McGregor's official, you wanna talk about that next week?
Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
And then you wanna see if we can get Sabrina Parr back on, cause she's supposed to, she's supposed to.
I hit her, I sent her a message. We had I don't know if you remember the girl that got kicked off the show in Cleveland because she was talking about the real pepper. She said he was on drugs. She was an ESPN show.
It was ESPN Radio in Cleveland, a really big show.
Oh, yeah?
She was like, she said, she was out. She
You wanna
made
cut
it
the
so-
live feed or?
I haven't. No, I haven't heard. When did this happen?
It was
Like
during the draft, right
during
after
the
the
draft.
draft, like to do it during their first mini camp with her,
Mhm.
and she was like, I was out there, I seen them.